Hello, welcome back to the Project Hercules Diaries. Quite an exciting update today because I spent a bit of money and I don't mind spending it because I have acquired a thing of beauty. It came in that brown box the other day from Carb, and this is it. This is a Dellorto PHM40 side draft carburettor. It's a slide carb with a tickler and an accelerator pump. I've had quite a few Motor Guzzies in the past. I've never ever had a carb problem, so I wanted to start with something somewhere. I did a bit of maths, did a few sums, and it's probably on the small side perhaps, but that's better than having it on the big side, and you've got to start somewhere, so I plan to use this. Great service from Carb. They've always been a good company to deal with. I'm not sponsored in any way. They didn't pay me to say anything about them. A bloke called Rob was quite helpful on the phone, although the only black mark, he couldn't tell me the exact right size jets and needles for a 2.8 litre single. But then again, who can blame him, because none of them exist. So what I'm planning to do is to make an adapter that fits on the end of this manifold here. So it'll be a screw-on adapter turned down out of these bits of aluminium there. And the reason that this has got a tickler and not a choke is that I wanted to have that clamp fitting that you can see there. I didn't want to have to make an adapter and then put a piece of rubber hose on with two Jubilee clips. It just wouldn't look right, it would sort of spoil it. So what I'm planning to do, I'll just put this back in the box for a moment. What I'm planning to do is to, using the bigger piece, this is just a practice piece, turn down an internal thread on here so it fits onto there. So that will go screw onto the outside of that manifold, and then turn down a step on the outside so that the carb will bolt onto that step using the clamp fitting, and I think it'll look quite nice. I think it'll look quite well with the carb on the side there. I think as a whole ensemble it won't look too bad. There's a bit of bling on the very end there. I splashed out and bought the cone with the gauze because it's a screw thread. It's already made. I could have made my own, could have made a brass one, but for what it's worth, it's already there, and that's part of the solution already built. So that's the next job, is to make that adapter, that manifold. I know some people will say, well, hold on, you're going from 40 mil to enormous mil, and there might be a bit of a step. Well, yes, but it's not a race engine, and the gas flow may be suboptimal, but it's big enough, so it should be okay. This slightly tips down a bit. If you notice, it's not quite straight, and that works in our favor because the plan in the bike is to lean the engine forward slightly. So I'm hoping that by doing so, that'll come at least vertical, or perhaps just above vertical. Not too much, but with the carb going slightly down into the engine, I think it looks better than the carb going slightly up into the engine. So that's the plan. I'm hoping it's going to work. If it really doesn't work out, if I do find it's kind of a bit asthmatic, then what I can do is make a 3D print a manifold that screws on here that has two of the same carbs side by side. I've got no issue doing that, because if you look in the side, there is kind of a piece of webbing, partly for strength and partly to split the manifold. It doesn't go all the way around, it stops about there, but it does direct some of the gas flow. I suppose it turns it back on itself to head for this inlet port, and this one steers the gas around for this inlet port, and of course there's an inlet port in the center. So if I did have to put twin carbs on, I don't think it would look out of place. You could perhaps put one slightly forward of the other. You could do something fancy, but they're not cheap items. So I've started with one carb, and if that's enough, that'll be great for me. So that's the latest and greatest. I've got a bit of turning to do. I've got a bit of thread cutting to do to make the right manifold to fit the carb. But once that's on, I'll have what I'm hoping is a working solution, or at least a starting point, so I can ignite the gases. So there we go. Thanks for watching. More updates to follow. See you soon.